I'm Gwen, Preston of Resource Maven. We're here at the Metals Investor Forum in Vancouver. It's January, and I'm joined by Dawson Brisco of Morien Resources. Thanks for coming today.
Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's a pretty busy event. People are excited about all kinds of stories, and I mean, Morien's been attracting a lot of attention, and I think, I've liked the story for quite some time, so I like to see that, but I think it's partly because you're at a pretty interesting juncture. So let's step back a little bit so people can understand what that is. Tell us about the Duncan Mine and sort of where it's at and what your royalty is on it.
Yeah, sure. Every underground coal mine has to go through an initial few years of development phase mining where they're setting up the underground infrastructure to support a significantly more active retreat mining phase. We are almost at that inflection point now. I should say they are at that inflection point. When they get to that point, they will have made a decision by then of whether or not to install a longwall miner or to complete that retreat mining phase with a series of continuous miners in sort of a room and pillar fashion. And I remind people that these guys, the miners, the Klein Group, are longwall guys. They've made billions of dollars in the prior decade doing this with Foresight Energy very successfully. And Cape Breton is a longwall region with a very flat coal seam. So it's amenable to a longwall miner. And so that's what we're waiting for. We think the decision on getting to that retreat mining phase is imminent, and when they get there, that's when shareholders get what they've been waiting for, which is a big spike in royalty payments and a dividend along with it.
Right, and that is obviously the foundation of the Morien story. You have a 2 to 4% royalty on the Duncan Mine, operated by the Cameron Collieries, the Klein Group, and that royalty increases with increasing tonnage, basically, in two zones. And so the current mine plan, once they start retreat mining with the continuous miners, would have 3 million tons, which is a nice number that generates nice royalties for Morien. If they make the decision to go to longwall, what kind of scale are we talking about? Yeah,
so on the continuous miner approach, and I think even with the initial approach, if they do go with a longwall, they'll scale it up to that 3 million saleable ton mark. We'll get somewhere between $6.5 and $11 million a year in royalty payments pre-tax, which is substantial given our market cap, which is only 25 million. But if they do install the longwall, it gives them incredible optionality to do what most longwall mines do in the world, which is produce 6-7 million tons a year.
Yeah.
If we keep it somewhat conservative and say 5 million tons a year and use a conservative coal price of $100 a ton, we're getting close to 20 million a year in royalties. If we are seeing another bull metallurgical market, then it could be up to $30 million a year.
And I mean, the Morien has been actively buying back stock as a normal course issuer bid. Management has been buying back stock, and this is all because you're all royalty believers, and the foundation of the company is to pay out as much of that money as you can to shareholders. Yeah,
the reward to us, the reward to shareholders, that value proposition is very uncomplicated. We're going to take those royalty revenues that we get and dividend them back as a high percentage of our free cash flow. So that's why we are buying in. We want those dividends as much as shareholders do. And at that low end of sort of a bearish thermal coal price environment, that dividend still looks like 5 cents a share.
Right.
Which is a 10% yield.
A 10% yield.
Implied yield.
Current share price.
On today's share price. And so on the upper end, and that sort of blue sky upside potential, then the yield is pushing 30% at that point. So it gets a little bit silly in terms of evaluation, and what we are really waiting for is for them to just make a decision advancing to the retreat stage and getting to the initial 3 million ton a year mark.
And what do you think is the timeline on that? How far are they advanced on the drives that they're doing for development?
Yeah, I think they're close to completing the first panel. If they made a decision on going to a retreat mine scenario, be it continuous miners or longwall tomorrow, then I think we could be in a position where they're retreat mining by the end of the year.
Right. Yeah. So this is like a near term. This is a story with a significant catalyst change guaranteed, whether it is a continuous miner, a 3 million ton per year operation, or they make the decision to go bigger and do the long wall.
Absolutely. It's going to be an exciting year for sure.
Well, thanks for the update. Great to get
My pleasure.
And
thank you.
I look forward to keeping up with the news.
Absolutely. Thanks, Gwen.